Hey, what's up, everybody? I haven't done this for a few weeks. I've been pretty much busy, so hopefully you guys are all understanding of that and stuff like that. So I wanted to, sorry, I was having a little bit of a problem because I haven't run this in a while. There was this update, and it really kind of threw me for a loop with the whole voice situation and things like that. I'm still not like an expert at any of this kind of stuff, but anyway, as you guys all filter in, if you do me the favor of please liking it and sharing it out, I would definitely appreciate that. It does mean a lot to me. And you know, yesterday, if you guys missed it, I know that YouTube's been having a problem sending out some notifications and things like that. So I mean, at some point, it makes it almost moot to even do some of these things if nobody's getting notified about them. Like 1% of my audience is getting notified of a video that I do, so it's kind of a bad state. This usually happens about every 1.5 to 2 months. I noticed it last Wednesday that something was happening, or that they tried to do an update or something, and then things have not really gone back and been the same since then. So that's a little bit unfortunate and kind of frustrating as a content creator as well. So definitely, if you guys are coming in, and you guys can definitely hit the like button and stuff, I would appreciate it. So I do got some stuff I want to talk about. Also, I need to make up a little bit of this, and I'm going to start this right away. So if you're a supporter of the channel, you can become a member of the channel, and one of the things that you can do is ask questions, and I'll answer them live. So I'm going to answer some questions that some members actually answered. This is a little bit past due, but I figure better late than never. And then I'm going to get into the whole Xbox thing and what I want to talk about. But I also want to point out, we did a BGST reunion. If you guys don't know what BGST is, Big Gamer Small Talk, and we did that on Zaire, Next Gen 720's channel last night. BGST was like probably the first Xbox-centric podcast there was. Now everybody has a podcast, right? But back then, that wasn't necessarily the case. And so, you know, now we're starting to see like so many podcasts out, and it's interesting. You know, there's a lot of good ones out and things like that, but it was interesting to have myself, Zaire, Mooch, Worrywart, Showstopper. Like, there was all of us around, and it was just really cool to see everybody kind of back together. And I wouldn't say arguing with each other, but I would just say that, you know, it was just nice to have that kind of back and forth that we've kind of missed since that show wasn't there anymore. So here's some questions that I'm going to answer real quick, and then I will go back and talk about kind of what I wanted to talk about. So this question is, what do I think of Guerrilla Games' second team allegedly working on a SOCOM reboot, which is a third person as well? Colin Moriarty apparently said it's not a first-person shooter. This was more or less hinted at by him during his podcast. I think that Guerrilla Games is definitely, their second team is working on some kind of multiplayer shooter, and I think it makes a lot of sense. A SOCOM name is definitely something that a lot of people resonate with, and so that's something that people are going to be like super excited about. And it makes sense to launch a game like that with a new console as opposed to, say, a Horizon Zero Dawn 2. In my opinion. So we'll have to see how that kind of works out. Another question is, do you expect Scarlet info during XO19, and how much do you think will get revealed? I don't expect anything Scarlet. I don't expect anything newsworthy whatsoever at Xbox XO19. I just think that they're holding that to kind of meet with fans and stuff, and it'll just kind of be another lackluster inside Xbox. I don't feel like they have much to talk about at this time. I think we won't get any Scarlet stuff until next year, and that makes a lot of sense. Although, if Microsoft were smart, they'd realize, hey, they have no games left, AAA games left until next generation anyway. Nobody's buying their consoles now anyway. You might as well talk a little bit about it, so I wish that they would. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Since Sony has always seemed to counter Microsoft, what do I think Sony will announce during XO to steal the attention? I do think that maybe Microsoft might announce a game studio acquisition. There's a few rumors circulating around, of course, but we'll have to see how that goes. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of works out if Microsoft can actually get anything out there and, you know, substantiate it or whatever. I think that's going to be the most important thing for them, is to just have something. It doesn't necessarily have to beat Sony, but they've got to get something to get some fans excited, because at this point, I think fans are literally not excited by anything Microsoft does lately. Another question was, since we can't download games on Stadia, we can only stream, while PS Now does allow both, and so will probably xCloud. Do you think this makes Stadia obsolete in comparison? Well, the thing about that is, I'm not real big on streaming, but look, I'm an old dinosaur when it comes to gaming. I admit that. I freely admit that. I'm an old dinosaur when it comes to like gaming. I don't like streaming. I don't like any of this stuff. But I do think if you have the ability to download stuff, that actually helps. People like even in my situation with limited bandwidth and limited speeds, so it is a little bit better. But that's not probably going to work for like phone and things like that. So it wouldn't really help me regardless. I'm not really much of a phone gamer anyway. But I don't see how you could download like a full 80 gig game to your phone. It just probably wouldn't work. Would you consider doing a PlayStation podcast around PlayStation 5 release? I think that would get a lot of views and be a good momentum going to the next gen. I like doing maybe just more of an agnostic thing going forward, just kind of Gaming Nation or something like that. I liked having a good mix of both PlayStation and Xbox people just to see how it is. Or what's up, TLR9? I would really appreciate everybody if you like this video and share it out. It means a lot to me if you guys could do that. I got a few more questions here, and like I said, if you guys want some of your questions answered, you can make it. It's very cheap, and it supports the channel or whatever. Judah says, "What's upcoming games are you most excited for right now?" And I have to say, I'm really, really looking forward to Jedi Fallen Order and, of course, Modern Warfare. Those are probably two that I'm extremely excited about right at this particular time. What's my opinion on EA launching streaming? Personally, I couldn't care less about streaming, and I know you're not a fan either. But will EA have a bigger chance than Microsoft and Google? No, because listen, I think EA Access is cool, but EA Access to me was always just like this added thing where you could get discounts if you had it, but the games weren't going to come in there for a good 7 to 9 months after initial release. And that was smart because you got people that would double dip. Sometimes people would be a member and wait. I know people that would just jump in and play Madden when it goes free or whatever, or NHL or whatever. So yeah, I think EA Access could have been really cool this generation if they would have actually went out of their way to have some great content this gen. Like they've really struggled with content, and that's really unfortunate. I do feel like EA had an off year. So did Microsoft, but so did everybody. They had a bit of an off year, but I think that they could definitely come back from that if they could just kind of step up and do something. So I do think that that's a little bit interesting, and hopefully they can come back because we need more games and things like that. The thing is with me and like the game situation right now is the fact that Microsoft and Ubisoft and EA and even I think Activision are all kind of one and the same when it comes to like these video games and stuff like that. What I mean by that is they're all kind of this games as a service thing, like this Ghost Recon Breakpoint game, okay? It's got really bad reviews. People don't seem to like it. But at the same time, it's that games as a service model that Microsoft loves. Ubisoft loves that model too, and so does EA. They want these kind of models where they can have these games that people pay money for up front, and then they add stuff to it later. And sometimes that works, but I think sometimes people just want a game that's ready to go at launch. And for me personally, I just feel like that's exactly what happens. M Strong, welcome to a friend. I appreciate you becoming a member. Thank you very much. Failed Pyromancer says, "Crap, what did you think of the ending to Hell in a Cell?" Dude, don't get me started on that, okay? So Hell in a Cell, just real quick, I know you guys, some of you aren't wrestling fans, but Hell in a Cell is a bigger pay-per-view to me, and for the ending, that kind of really screws over the fans, in my opinion, since like how do you stop kind of a no disqualification situation? So yeah, but I did think that they were weird to have Bray Wyatt in his new persona go after the title so early, because you can't have him win it so early, in my opinion, but you can't have him lose either. So they really kind of backed themselves in the corner. I would have maybe had Braun Strowman win the title on the previous pay-per-view, and then have him do like the Hell in a Cell thing with Seth. But yeah, not happy with that at all. Thankfully, there's a lot of competition now with wrestling. Just like everything in life, you need that competition, so that's nice to see. I got a super friend, so appreciate it very much. Hey, everybody, hit the like button. I appreciate it as you guys come in here. So yeah, anyway, I did BGST last night, and it was so funny because it was just a lot of fun, and we got to talk about stuff. It wasn't like super intense or anything like, sometimes those shows can be. It was just reminiscing, and then we were talking about some of the stuff that's going on right now. And I got to say, I am very excited by the game situation from all these companies, but at the same time, I'm a little bit disappointed with like the whole like streaming thing. Like, here's the thing: we know that Microsoft is going to do streaming, but now we also know that Sony is taking streaming that extra step as well. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but I'll read this for you guys real quick. It just came out. So Sony right now is readying for browser-based cloud streaming. So if you guys didn't know that, they just filed this trademark in the United States, a method for providing gameplay of a cloud video game wherein the gameplay video being rendered is substantial real time to enable real-time gameplay of the session of a cloud video game through a client browser. So if you didn't know, Stadia kind of does that. You don't need like a launcher or anything like that. It just means you're going to be able to use this. Okay, so PlayStation Now has been offering cloud-based gaming for years now, but it's only been available through PlayStation 4 and PC. And PlayStation Now application has to be downloaded in order to stream games from the PlayStation library. So the same service doesn't support mobile devices, at least not yet, but this is actually a step towards that. The patent application, Sony's looking to cover browser-based functionality that would basically allow users to stream PlayStation games through any browser application on their desktop systems and mobile devices, including Chrome, which is actually scrapping the need to rely on a separate application, as well as finally bringing PlayStation Now to mobile devices. So even though PlayStation is 100 plus million strong with the PS4, and they sell, like the God of Wars and the Spider-Mans and the Uncharted's are selling 15, 20 million a piece, Sony is, I guess, preparing for the future as well, which I guess makes sense. But like I said, the dinosaur in me just doesn't like this at all, because it seems like these subscription services are just going to lead to sort of maybe the downfall of gaming in general. So according to this, using a web browser for speedy streaming, it's possible to create satisfying gaming experience, according to this, using a node server as a communication medium between the console in the game and the machine. And the browser creates a lightweight proxy for the client, which creates minimal latency in data transmission, but a potentially great savings in processing time. So now it looks like it's going to be able to be accessed through mobile devices. Now, the funny thing is, I talked about this because I'd heard that some PlayStation MVPs, which is like their like testers and stuff, that they're actually using the PlayStation Now to play on their phones and stuff, and people said I was crazy and lying and stuff like that. I get that a lot, but I had heard that, and so now it looks like that's actually true. The timing, according to this, is no coincidence, because Google Stadia supports browser-based gaming as well right off the bat, and it launches later this year. So Sony wants in on this. Jack Ryan, or Jim Ryan, is like in on this stuff. He really wants this to kind of be day and date or whatever. I don't know if they're going to launch their big games day and date on streaming. I would think that they double dip for a while, but I guess eventually that's just the way it's going to be. I really kind of I don't wish failure on anything in gaming, I guess, but I don't really want this to succeed more than consoles, because I feel like as a console gamer, if I'm playing multiplayer online or something like that, I don't really want to be playing against somebody who's streaming a game and has that kind of latency lag and issues and stuff like that. That can always lead to like an unfair advantage. I don't want, if I'm winning, I want to win as close to a fair advantage as I can get. And if I lose, I want to know that I didn't lose because of some BS lag or something like that. So hopefully you guys understand a little bit more of what I'm kind of talking about here. But yeah, like this is very interesting. Indeed, that Sony's go ahead and doing this, and Jack and also Jim Ryan is talking about how they're gonna have streaming sit there and be, sit there alongside like physical discs and other discs as well. So I just found that to be very interesting and something that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit as well, because it seems like no matter what I do, I'm not going to be able to get away from like this game streaming stuff, and that's a bit unfortunate, but hopefully it all kind of works out at the end of the day. I want Microsoft and Sony to offer as much as they can, but this is just something that's not exactly in my wheelhouse as a gamer anyway. So time to come back to, I don't know about that. Let's see. Sonic says, I demand to know who won between Sasha and Becky, or else I will donate $100 to Crapgamer just to spite you all. Well, I already Becky Lynch won, so yeah, there's that. Rico Dread says browser-based gaming will only work depending on individual connectivity on the internet. Yeah, I guess it really kind of depends on what you're going to be doing, you know, long term or whatever. But this was just interesting that browser-based stuff was actually coming out the way that it did. Like, I personally don't really care about this kind of stuff. I think that, like, it's all kind of weird and not really my bag. But very interesting to see that they're going full board after this type of stuff. So hopefully that's something that you know, what can I say? What can I do? To be honest with you, it's like fighting the future, whatever. It just seems like no matter what I say or no matter what I do, there's going to be nothing that that I'm going to be able to do to stop whatever these companies want to do. You know, in terms of getting stuff. Hey, Mooch, what's up, Mooch? He says, hit the like button. I appreciate it. M Strong says, yeah, I thought about getting PSVR, but it's too late in the gen. Listen. It's going to be backwards compatible. You're going to be able to play some of that VR stuff. There's a lot of good VR games. Get kind of acclimated to it. We won't know exactly when the next bit of VR is going to come out, but yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see the new version of VR. So I hope that they can actually go out there and do something nice and get VR and stuff like that kind of going, because I think that that's really important for everybody. You know, like just gaming in general. I think that that's going to be something that we need to see, and hopefully that is. Again, if you guys are just joining me, please like this video, share it out. I definitely do appreciate it and think that it's super important that you guys do that. So speaking of VR, I wanted to talk about Xbox VR because there's new patents for that as well. This is a brand new story that just came out. This very much piques my interest, you know, and it's something that I could get. You know, VR for Xbox Scarlet could be on the way. Recently unearthed patents suggest there's U.S. patents from Microsoft that describe 6 degrees of freedom input as well as a virtual reality floor mat for activity region. The accompanying images, they actually have images of this. So not only do they have like VR stuff for a console, but it looks like they've like really gone the extra mile and have a lot of this cool stuff that's involved as well. Some of these might obviously take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of this stuff, you know, when it comes out like this, it's just something that they'll just patent their technology to kind of keep a hold of that, and I think that's very smart. But what's interesting is, because last week it was confirmed that the Xbox Scarlet is not going to feature a 4K camera, contrary to reports that said the console's dev kit came with one, and the same report said that the PlayStation 5 will also come with a camera, but Sony hasn't released any statement on it whatsoever, obviously. So they don't have anything in terms of what Scarlet is going to do with this VR, but they do have some interesting technology that they just patented. So I think it'd be nice if they actually did offer some sort of VR for fans, because I do think, you know, at the end of the day, that VR is a fun little thing to do. One typical Latina says Xbox ain't getting VR because it makes Phil nauseous. Well, you know, Phil is sort of like the guy that likes different things, right? Like Phil Spencer likes what Phil Spencer likes, and I completely get that and understand that. I just think that you know, he has to think of gaming as more than just himself, right? Like I do that too, right? Like I understand, like just because I might not like something doesn't mean that other people. The same thing for you know, a lot of different things. Like for me personally, I just feel that VR is something that's very niche. I understand that, but it's something that's fun, and it's a good technology. And just because Phil might not like it doesn't mean that nobody that owns an Xbox would like it, okay? That's just how I feel about it. So I do hope that people kind of understand, you know, where I'm coming from when I say that. Like, I understand you might personally not be interested in VR. Like, when I brought up that Phil Spencer lied about VR, I was just, you know, one of those people that I didn't like VR at first either until I really, really tried it. And now it's like, holy cow, this VR thing is pretty cool, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. So that's something that I think people would absolutely have to understand. Like, you have to try this stuff before you can like really comment on it. And I feel like most people haven't really commented, aren't really able to comment on it because obviously they haven't really tried it. So even people that I know have never played it before, when I actually get them to try it, they seem to really enjoy it, and I think that that's really cool. So for me personally, I hope to see a lot more people try this in the future and maybe kind of get something going, because I just think that it's important to keep like technology kind of, you know, open-minded about this kind of stuff, and I hope to see that continue to kind of grow that way in the future as well. So hopefully in the future we can continue to see that from both Microsoft and Sony. I know for a fact Sony's going to go out of their way to continue to support VR, and realistically it's just on Microsoft to go out there and do the same thing. As you guys are here, please hit the like button. I appreciate it. Let me see. They could have Rare have a crack at making a VR game. Listen, you know what game would be perfect in VR, and I hate to say this, is Sea of Thieves. Okay, Sea of Thieves would be a great VR game because it's a first-person game. You have like the sea, the water, everything is just makes sense for that to be a VR game, and I would think that makes the most sense, in my opinion, to actually offer some VR for that. Like, there's other games that Microsoft have that probably wouldn't be too difficult to add VR to, like the Forza series. Could you imagine playing like Forza Motorsport in VR, or pretty much anything that they have? Like Gears of War would be a game that would be fun in VR, or Halo. Like those worlds, you don't have to make the main games VR, but we know that there is a VR type of game world that can do that. So I just really hope that we see that in the future, because that's something that I think Microsoft is missing. And I know not everybody's into VR, and that's fine or whatever. I'm not going to try to change your mind about it. I'm just saying, for me personally, it's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. So maybe, just maybe, Phil goes back on his original lie and allows us to play a little bit of VR or whatever. If you guys are here, please hit the like button, share it out, and that kind of stuff. What also I found was interesting was today, it's like kind of an interesting news day. I don't really have a podcast per se, but it was an interesting news day. So the PlayStation 4 did a system update as well that offers new party features and remote play to devices running Android 5.0 and up, which I thought was very interesting, because everybody's freaking out about what xCloud can do, or this or that, and one of the things that Phil Spencer talked about was the ability to stream your game remotely to a device if you already owned an Xbox and the game or whatever. So that's something that Sony's been doing for a long time. So the new firmware update on PS4 is going to update party features, including 16-player party chat transcription, and improved audio. In addition, the improved backend also improves network connectivity, which should resolve most of the connectivity issues when connecting with other players. System-level HDR tuning, which I think is cool. It means you can adjust your own HDR via your console instead of like having to do it individually for games or whatever. It's update 7.0, new remotely play on mobile devices, and the update allows players to use remote play on smartphones and tablets running on Android 5 and up. Meanwhile, for iPhone and iPad users, remote play app has been updated, so you can now display the controller at all times and lock the screen orientation. So, last but not least, DualShock 4 wireless controllers via Bluetooth are now supported for remote play on Android, iPhone, iPad, and Mac. So they're doing a lot in that space as well. It shouldn't really come as much of a surprise. I mean, I guess it's just one of those things we're gonna have to deal with. Remote play, I did it with the Vita a while back, years ago, and it is what it is. It's not something that I'm gonna sit there and use. But it's nice, I guess, for those that want the option to maybe lounge around or something. I don't really know what kind of situation somebody would use remote play in, but it is kind of interesting to see that, people are kind of talking about this, and, I don't know if the word excitement is what I would say, but they seem to be, talking about this. We'll see how it lasts, like people tend to build up something that they really like, if it's their particular brand or whatever. So I think that's something that we've got to kind of keep in mind as well. If you like a particular brand, like people that are Xbox fans, they're going to talk up whatever Xbox does. If you're a PlayStation fan, you're going to talk up what PlayStation does. If you're a Nintendo fan, you're going to talk up what Nintendo does. So for me personally, it is kind of what it is. I also wanted to talk a little bit about this, which was Guerrilla Games. Their hiring spree. There's talk of Horizon Zero Dawn 2 as a PS5 launch title. I don't believe that, mainly because it wouldn't make sense to launch that. But it is nice to see that where there's smoke, there's fire. And I've been mentioning this as a fan of Xbox for a while as well, kind of using it as comparison, because we know Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is going to come, and they're also working on something else, because they've said they're working on something else. So they're working on like a online shooter as well. And then Naughty Dog is working on a new IP. And God of War 2 is coming. Another Gran Turismo is coming. So those are the cool things. Like, that there's stuff coming. And I know that there's stuff coming from Xbox as well. It's just that are people really going to be extremely excited to see like another State of Decay game? Or, I just don't look at some of those studios as having like ultimate ideas or whatever. And then when you look at where Microsoft spends their money, and I know it's not really, they're a big company, they're a big boy company, they got, $1 trillion or whatever. So when you see them kind of waste money on stuff like, say, a Twitch streamer like Ninja or whatever, and now he's at Mixer, now it's already come back that Mixer actually lost percentages on what people were doing. Like it actually lost. It's like losing to Facebook Gaming. I didn't even know Facebook Gaming was a thing, but they actually lost viewers or whatever. And I thought that was very interesting, that they invested all that money. People say between $50 and $100 million on this guy to kind of grow the platform, and it didn't really do anything whatsoever to help. So yeah, that's something that I think people are going to have to kind of pay attention to as well in the future, is like stuff like that. Like Microsoft was willing to waste all this money on this guy to grow their platform, and they're securing all this other stuff in the back end that doesn't really matter to me, okay, or gamers in general, okay? Like, I know that people sometimes like to watch streamers and things like that, but I think we would like to actually game a lot more than watch some streamer do something, and so I find that to be a little bit interesting, to say the least, with how they've been able to kind of pull off some of the stuff that they've been able to do. But again, it's not really on me how this stuff works. Microsoft is the ones cutting the checks and stuff like that. It really just comes down to what the kind of the bring back is for Microsoft. So if they're happy with it, and again, we talked about this on BGST last night, if Microsoft's happy with it, what can you really do about it? If they're happy here with Gears of War 5, having 3 million players, quote unquote, in the first week, as opposed to selling 3 million, and they're happy with it, then that's fine. I mean, I guess you can't really talk too much trash on that, because if they're happy, then hey, they're happy. Like for me personally, I kind of miss the good old days, and I was mentioning this today, where these games used to have millions of players on them and people would actually buy the games. I just feel like what happens with Game Pass, and I'm not knocking Game Pass or PlayStation Now in particular or anything like that, I just feel like where I'm concerned is the little bit of quality that's in there as well. Is like, okay, you have this quality situation where people tend to, and I thought this was just me, but I heard other people say it, maybe you guys in the chat will agree or disagree, I don't know, but I tend to be more invested in a game that I paid full price for. Okay, I'm not saying that there aren't deals or surprise games that you might like that might be in one of these services, but I just feel like people maybe tried Gears because it was Gears and they're not going to go back. I can't imagine that, we would have heard more about Gears. It's already been out a month, and we haven't heard any other statistical numbers about that. So the way that they do it is they're going to go, when it does, when it gets 5 million unique users or whatever, they'll go, 5 million players have played Gears. That doesn't mean that there's 5 million players playing now. Like those original 3 million, those could all never have come back. And then since that point, you've only had 2 more million join in. Like that's a reality. Like, are they able to hold on to people? And I feel like with Gears 5, they really catered towards a casual gamer, expecting them to really stick around for a long time. And I'm not really so sure that actually happened. Hey, if you guys are here just joining me, please hit the like button, share it out. M Strong says Microsoft should come out with sequels to a lot of their IPs now that they're pushing Game Pass. I would really think so as well. Xavier says Halo, Ori, Flight Simulator, Battletoads, etc. I'm not sure if you're trying to say that those are good games or not. Halo is a next-gen game. Ori is an indie flight simulator. I mean, that's like a tool for teaching. That's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not something that people, and Battletoads looks horrible, so I'm not really sure what your kind of point is, but I do think that, it's kind of a glaring thing when you see that as Microsoft's games, upcoming games, and there are not a lot of them, and there's not much to what can be said. The Nail says Gears 5 sold less than Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2. Yeah, their day of actually selling games is long over. Their game, like, I can imagine when we get an announcement of what actually came out in terms of the MPD, I can't imagine that Gears is going to sell very much at all. The Boldly Beaver says, dude, Gears 5 is still broken. I played every day with multiple issues each day. Here's the thing, Boldly. I actually went back, because if you guys follow me, you know that I played the game. I got stuck and couldn't progress. I got stuck at a certain point, and this happened to me, and I lost time, and I lost, you know, what I was trying to do. And then next thing you know, it was just one of those situations where I didn't want to do it. I wanted to review the game. I didn't have time to keep starting over. Multiple times I started over and spent hours and hours. So I was like, I'm just going to watch the ending on YouTube and do my review. You know, I played all the game modes. I got within the last chapter of the end of the game. And so I was like, I'll go ahead and just watch the ending. Boom. Get everything done. So I did my review. I went back last week and I tried to start up the game, and I got an error message saying that the game couldn't be started. Try it again in a little bit. Like, this is a huge problem to me, you know? Like, I really think that people kind of, I know it's easy to go, well, crap, you're really just taking it out on Microsoft. You sound scorned or whatever. And the thing is, it's not that I'm scorned. I'm not upset, per se. I'm kind of disappointed, okay? As you get more and more into, like, a new generation of gaming, listen to what Microsoft has going for it, right? They have a preview program for their operating system, which they're Microsoft, by the way. They should be able to get an operating system right every day. Like, I stopped using the Xbox for Hulu and stuff like that because it seemed like every day I had to hard reset my console. Like, why can't I get to Netflix or Hulu or wherever I want to go through my Xbox without restarting my Xbox? Okay? It's slow and unresponsive and sluggish. And here we are, you know, 6 years into this generation, and it's still that way, and they're still testing it, and it still has problems. Like, the PS4, it's simple. You know, it might be a little simple for my taste, but it works. You know, like, this is something that I still don't get. So we're still 6 years into a console generation, and we're previewing a UI for Microsoft because it's still not right. We're previewing games, and that's supposed to be a big deal, right? We're previewing games for Microsoft, right? That's how hard up they are. They're like, hey, let's try out these games that aren't even close to being finished. Let's preview them, okay? Then they have this service. Like, I like Game Pass, but Gears 5 should have been a game that worked at launch and still works. And to me, they just lumped it in there with, you know, Sea of Thieves and some of these other unfinished games, State of Decay 2. And I know that there's some State of Decay fans, apparently. I didn't realize that there were so many. And I just thought it was a little bit strange because, you know, that, again, was like this unfinished game. And I just don't understand what Microsoft's thought process was with kind of putting these games out there, you know? Like, you have these games that are clearly low scoring because they're kind of broken and unfinished or whatever. Then you release a Gears of War 5 and put that in there. Like, I think that there's some kind of mistake there. People are just starting to sort of just suspect that Game Pass is a place where Microsoft puts their half-finished games, which I think is bad for the future of gaming. Again, when you have so many, not just streaming services like game streaming or game service, just services in general, just look at the things. I'm sure most of you guys have it. Like, you know, I'm a member of Spotify and Hulu and Amazon, and I was a member of Netflix. My fiance still is, so I guess we still have that, at least one Netflix account. We used to be two. You know what I mean? There's Game Pass and PlayStation Now, and obviously Disney Plus is coming out, and you know what I mean? It's like eventually there's EA Access. Eventually there's going to be too many, you know, where it just makes more sense to buy a game or a movie that you want to watch and do it that way, you know, instead of paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars each and every month to try and get you know, a game or something like that maybe, you know, people, it's just one of those things that I don't understand. And hopefully you guys know where I'm coming from with that, because I know some of you guys are pretty smart. I'm going to answer some more questions as well. Hold on. Sonic says the video apps may not work that well on Xbox, but Hulu isn't perfect on Samsung TVs anyway. Crunchyroll is unreliable on devices other than phones. I don't know. But M Strong says Microsoft is letting all the games go to Sony by way of exclusives. Hell, they just got a Predator game exclusive out of nowhere. Well, listen, that's a second-party deal that Sony made. Sony is in the process of making a lot of these second-parties deals to try to get more multiplayer-type focused games. As we get over 250 watching, please hit the like button. Maybe we can get up to 100. I realize that YouTube is kind of screwed up lately, and whatever, people aren't getting their notifications. So if you are here, Please hit the bell so you get notified of everything. And like I said, if you are interested in becoming a member of the channel, it'd be greatly supported, man. Like, I get it. You know, some people don't like me or whatever it is, and you think I'm negative or whatever. Listen, I don't really know what to say, you know, to be honest with you. I just, you know, I try to be honest about this stuff and how I feel. If some people don't like it, it's, you know, maybe I should have just kept my mouth shut about a lot of the stuff. But I wanted to keep it up as much as I could, just kind of being honest and giving my own kind of thoughts and opinions on this. M Strong says Halo has to be great. That's something I 100% agree with you, my friend. Halo Infinite has to be not only great, but it has to be significantly better than Halo 5, right? So I think Halo 5 got a decent Metacritic score, and I'm not really like Metacritic. I don't particularly care. Like I'm not one of the people that pushes. Like, I think it's a good indication of quality, right? But I don't really like. You can have fun with a game that scores bad on Metacritic, because I have, right? But I just think that as a whole, they have to do better than the previous game. So Halo 5 Guardians got an 84 on Metacritic. I feel like Halo Infinite has to get like a 90. I think if Halo Infinite can hit that 90 mark, people will be like, oh man, Halo is back. Because you can't have these 17, there's 17 mixed reviews on here, right? And the user score for Halo 5 is 6.4, which I know people like to like review bomb these things if you're a hater or whatever, but you have 207 negative reviews of this, and you know, you got to pay a little bit of attention to that, because people really, really like their Halo, and they don't want it completely ruined or anything like that. M Strong says Halo 4 campaign is the direction they need to go. Listen, M Strong, I agree 100%. I love the dynamic and the story of Halo 4, but the multiplayer they messed up in Halo 4. I like the multiplayer in Halo 5, even though I'm not much of a multiplayer guy in Halo. I don't really play it much, but it was good when I played it with friends, but the story was just really bad. So that's really a problem. Wrath the Emperor says Xbox got no great single player games. I agree with that 100%. One Typical says, hey, what's up, Foxy? How's it going? How you liking Gears? I haven't seen you around much. What have you been doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. Yeah, you must be out there with your new something or other, Boo or something, right? Like, what do you got going on, Foxy? Nice to see you in the chat. Rich says, crap, do you think Game Pass will make money from Microsoft? Because I do not think Gears 5's 3 million players is going to cut it. Listen, I've said this a million times, all right? The problem with Game Pass is it's not going to make them any money until they get 100, like, you know, they got to get that 30, 40, 50 million subscribers to it, which they think is going to happen through these various other outlets, like people subscribing to it on PC, people subscribing to it on their phones, and I just don't know if that's actually going to be something that is going to be feasible or doable for them in the future. Like, there's 140 million Netflix accounts, right? Now, how many of those are like double accounts or multiple people share an account? I don't know. But for me, it's very risky, because Microsoft doesn't have a ton of games where people are just like, oh man, I got to play it. Even a game like Gears, which used to be a reason to buy an Xbox and would win them an NPD, and the game would be number one on the NPD, that's just not the case anymore. And so we're starting to see where Microsoft has faltered, and that they falter by being too reliant on you know, certain things for far too long, okay? And what I mean by that is they're very reliant on, you know, just these different, like Gears, Forza, and Halo. And it used to be on the 360, they were reliant on Gears, Forza, Halo, and Fable. Because if you think about it, Fable 2 came out to critical acclaim. Whether or not you like it, it was probably my favorite RPG on the 360. I love Fable 2. But then 2 years later, they rushed out Fable 3, and it took a step back. So I think that what Microsoft has to do is find those other games to sit there alongside these IPs that they love, and they love to push and kind of milk, and come out and give them a little bit of an extended break. So during any given generation, maybe only one Gears of War or one Halo should come out, or, you know, one Forza Motorsport and one Forza Horizon. Like, you don't need to come out with one every other year, and I think you need these other games to kind of fill in those gaps, and then some of the smaller games. Like, I'm not against smaller games. I'm looking forward to Concrete Genie this week. I'm looking forward to Medieval Remake. I'm looking forward to some of these smaller games, The difference is with Sony, what I've noticed is Sony actually has, some of these big AAA blockbusters to go alongside them. And so I think that's something that people got to kind of keep in mind as well. So I'm excited by what that can bring in the future as well. Like, can Microsoft successfully pull off some of these big AAA new IP as well as the smaller stuff as well? I think that's going to be the key to them going forward and their success, if that's something that they're actually able to kind of negotiate or be able to kind of pull off. So I'm going to be very interested to see how that kind of works out or whatever. Y9 Power says, good exclusive games Microsoft lost: Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Bioshock, Eternal Sonata, Limbo, Inside Braid, Titanfall. Dude, Titanfall was a huge game. Oh, Snakes, what's up, man? Hey, hit the like button. I would appreciate it. That, like I said, some of this stuff, YouTube's a little bit weird lately, but hopefully it's stuff. Lady Foxfire says, Gears 5 was awesome. Enjoyed the multiplayer, but they still have issues. Yeah, Foxy, listen, I haven't been able to beat the game yet. I went back and it wouldn't let me load it up. It says there's some kind of error. I was taking a little bit of a break from Xbox for a little bit, but I was hoping to get some of my passion back for the platform. It's just hard to do. I don't know what the deal is, but I hope that I hope that next generation they do deliver. But I refuse to go, wait till E3, because I feel like we should have been getting news at previous E3s as well. 9Live says, do you ever think Sony will come out with a great multiplayer game? I think Factions, The Last of Us Part 2, if that's free to play or something like that, or maybe a $30 standalone thing, I think that'll be a great multiplayer, because Factions is a lot of fun, and obviously people like that since there was such an outcry. So I do actually think that they can really do a good job with that. M Strong says they're leaning on multiplayer games, need more single player games to compete. Yeah, whenever you bring up single player games to like Phil Spencer, he tends to really kind of get out there and just kind of throw it out there that, Ori, or these smaller games as being, and to me, I feel like that's a little bit not, he doesn't maybe get it, or he gets it, he just doesn't believe in those type of games, because Game Pass is really set up for games as a service type games, maybe smaller single player games to fill it out, but realistically it's set up there for people to play a Gears of War and go back and spend money in microtransactions and keep paying for Xbox Live, play Sea of Thieves with all that kind of stuff, and keep going back. That's the kind of stuff that they really kind of need to get away from. Like, people, that's really greedy in my opinion. I understand it's a business, but why not come out with a good single player game? And I realize some people that they might. Okay, Obsidian could come out with something, but even in Obsidian's a new game that they're working on, they say they're working on a multiplayer aspect of that game, and I think that's something that maybe that'll work out. I don't know. But it's like, not every game has to have multiplayer or transactions in it, okay? And that's why I think I was so bummed out. I understand that Ninja Theory was working on Bleeding Edge before Microsoft bought them out. I'm not stupid. I get it, okay? But still, the fact that that was their first game announced for Xbox really kind of, I think, stings, and it's unfortunate, because I just think that they can do much better than that. And I just feel like that's something that they can definitely work on in the future. So hopefully they can do that. And I'm really thinking that Microsoft can pull something off next gen. They've got the talent. They've got some good studios, okay? The Initiative is going to do something really good, I think. Obsidian could do something good. Ninja Theory has the potential to do something good, but I just think they're going to do something AA. They're just doing like AA games or whatever. So I would love to see, and I think Fable could be really good. So realistically, there's 3 wildcard studios. They need a little bit more than that, in my opinion, to kind of compete with Microsoft has. Ishan Rashid says, will we see more reunion shows, crap? Like the BGST reunion. We did that last night. It was me, Worrywart, Showstoppers, Zaire, Mooch, Tim Dog, Chris Steele. You know what? We were happy with the reaction that the fans gave. It was a good time. There wasn't a bunch of hate or trolls or anything like that. We just had a good time kind of reminiscing, talking about, some of the stuff that we went through early on as like the only podcast talking about Xbox positively, and how, there's a lot of podcasts nowadays, it's just a fact of life. And I'm not knocking any of them, because I think that each of them offer their own thing. But you have to remember, at the time, we were the only ones, and we were getting so much hate And but it's just fun to kind of reminisce. So I do think we will do more. I'm not sure we want to wear out the welcome or whatever, but I do think we will definitely do more and kind of get more as we go along. Hey, if you guys can hit the like button, I would appreciate it. Maybe we can get up over 100 likes. I would definitely be thankful for that. MLB The Show. Well, MLB The Show is multiplayer. That's true. Not only that, GT Sport is multiplayer, and that Predator game that they have coming out, you guys have to remember, that's multiplayer as well. So it really just comes down to what they're going to be offering. And I think that it just comes down to that Sony, they right now are offering, I know people are interested in them pushing this agenda, like Sony needs multiplayer games. They need and I feel like it's only the Xbox guys that are kind of pushing that. I don't really know many PlayStation fans who are like, yeah, we need more multiplayer games as PlayStation fans. There might be some, but PlayStation excels at these great single-player narrative-driven games. And in fact, when you look around and you see Ubisoft, EA, Activision, Microsoft, these companies aren't doing single-player games anymore. They're doing these games as a service, okay? So I feel like Sony definitely has that kind of market cornered, and you don't want them to lose that. So they'll continue to do those big AAA single-player games, but I do also believe that they will also do, the I think for sure that they're going to do the big time, type multiplayer stuff as well in the future. Like I said, I think Factions is going to be a game that launches with, the PlayStation 5, and I think either it's going to be $30 or free to play or something like that. And I think that's going to be a really good multiplayer game. And I also think that they're going to do another SOCOM or, something. Maybe they can go back and bring back the Resistance series now that they got Insomniac. Insomniac's got a couple of teams. Why not do a new Resistance game? Those games were really good and had a really good multiplayer. Why not go back and do one of those? I think that would be very smart. And maybe we could get something out of that. Look, I'm just spitballing here, but that to me makes a lot of sense to bring that franchise back, as people really like it. And, it could just be just what the doctor ordered, you know what I mean? So I do think just the way that, Microsoft needs some single-player stuff, it wouldn't hurt for Sony to have some multiplayer stuff. But, again, the multiplayer stuff is much better than anybody's first party. Like, Microsoft used to be in a spot where Gears and Halo, where these games had the best multiplayer. Now, the best multiplayer is third parties. Third parties are bringing the best multiplayer. So, Microsoft doesn't even have that going for it anymore. It's like these other games are doing it much better. And now Microsoft doesn't even have, the single-player aspect anymore. So, yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate or whatever. But hopefully, again, that's something that we'll see in the future as well. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can both do, giving the proper time and money or whatever. M. Strong says, if Halo Infinite gets a 90+, a Game Pass will see tremendous growth. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the thing that's going to really help that game is the fact that it's on PC. Gears of War is not a PC game, to be honest with you. Like, I get it that they launched it on PC or whatever. I just don't feel that it's really a big PC-type game, unfortunately. And hopefully we can see these big numbers. I personally hope that they don't mess it up and allow crossplay. Like, you have to be able to turn off crossplay completely. If they can do that, I think that it's a winning formula. Let the PC players play against PC players, let the console players play against console players. That's what we all want. That's what we're kind of that's what we're kind of all hoping for at any rate. So hopefully that's something that they can do. And I'm looking forward to that as well. Ned Flanders says, here's the thing with bringing back all these old franchises. They won't work on new IPs. They need to bring new IPs on the table. This is something that I said too. Listen, Fable, I understand on Microsoft's point, but the initiative should 100% be working on a new IP. Obsidian should be working on a new IP. And I'm not talking about Fallout in space, because Outer Worlds is Outer Worlds, and that's not really my thing. I just hope that they can actually go out there and kind of do something in terms of that game and that franchise, and hopefully we can get something that makes a lot of sense. Like, they need to go out there and sort of do something that's going to get people excited about the future of Xbox. That's just something that I feel like they 100% need to do. And until they can go out there and do that, they've got the most to prove. They've 100%. Microsoft has the most to prove. Listen, they can do good games, but they haven't proven that they can do good games for a long time. So I'm very hopeful that they can go out there and kind of get things going in the right direction. And maybe that's something that they needed, that kick in the pants that they got this generation, and I firmly believe that that's going to help them in the long run. We just have to get to the point where where they can actually showcase some of this stuff. They have to get over that stuff where they don't want to show any games. Right? They have to get out there and start showing some games because people want to get excited. If you can't get people excited about your platform, I don't know what you can do. I trolled people a little bit the other day, okay? So Detroit Become Human was one of my favorite PS4 games, okay? I realize it's going to be on the PC store for Epic, but they announced that the game sold over 3.2 million on PS4 alone, okay? And I made a joking tweet. I says, hey, this game sold more than any Xbox exclusive has this whole generation. Which, to be completely honest with you guys, could be accurate. I mean, Halo 5 probably sold more. But Microsoft never comes out and announces any numbers, so you just assume the worst. And that's always a problem. Microsoft never, ever comes out there and goes, hey, we did this or we did that, or congrats to us for doing this or congrats to us for doing that. And that's always a bit of a shame, in my opinion, because I just think that their games aren't getting the kind of shine that they deserve. And not only that, but doesn't it suck for the developers? They put in all this hard work. Okay, let's just say Gears of War 5, for example. Let's say that game actually did sell 2 million at launch. Okay, it didn't, but let's just say it did. They hide those pretty good sale numbers over the player numbers. So if you're a developer, you can't really brag about that anymore. You know what I mean? Hey, you put in all this hard work, people bought your game, but you can't talk about people who bought your game. At what point is that, to me, I think that's kind of a bad situation. You know what I mean? I just would like the developers to kind of get the shine that they deserve. They work hard on these games, and I would love to see them actually go out there and kind of get the recognition and credit for it. Because so far, with stuff like State of Decay 2 and Sea of Thieves and Crackdown 3, it seems like these games are built by developers who maybe don't even care about anything other than their paycheck, and they're putting them into their shovelware feeder that is Game Pass. And I think Gears bucks that trend, and so did Forza Horizon. But again, Gears, Forza, and Halo are always at least okay. They're never terrible, so they're always at least okay. And you got to prove that you can do something that's good or great that isn't Gears, Forza, Halo, and it's a AAA game. And I think that's where they've really failed this generation most of all, is the fact that people don't really necessarily believe in the company anymore. So yeah, it's a little bit kind of disheartening when you see that. But hopefully Microsoft can kind of understand where fans are coming from. It's not a completely negative place. I'm not here going, man, I absolutely hate Xbox. I hope they fail and I hope they go out of business. Okay, that's stupid. That's a really stupid thing to kind of think and to kind of go out there and say, because it doesn't really help anybody. If Microsoft goes belly up with Xbox, then there's no competition for Sony, and Sony can charge whatever they want and do whatever they want. So we definitely need to see these companies come out and do their best and try to compete with each other as best as they can, because I think that that's going to be the most important thing going forward. If you guys want to start asking some questions in the chat, I would appreciate it, and I will answer all of them for the next 10 minutes or so. Das Me C says, didn't work on Gears 5. It's copy pasted the exact same stages redone. No wonder they did it in 2 years. Well, 2.5 years. But yeah, they supposedly did take a lot of things from the other ones or whatever. 9 Live says, Crapgamer, seems like Jim Ryan's going to turn PlayStation into an app. Maybe. I mean, PlayStation, I wouldn't say an app, but maybe a platform. That seems the way of the future, I guess. I mean, if people are okay with it, then they're okay with it, Mr. Strong says, or M. Strong says, Xbox One X and Game Pass is saving Xbox from complete failure. You could be right. Here's the thing. I don't think the Xbox One X is selling particularly well. Maybe it's because it came out too late in the generation, but, we'll have to see how that works. John says, hey, Crap, do you think people like me are okay with games because they keep putting in Game Pass, like World War Z, even though they didn't make it if I wasn't going to buy it, but now I am? Well, listen, I think that's great. Like, if you are happy with that, then I'm not going to knock it. For me personally, I've never used Game Pass. Like, I've had it for a while, and I've never even used it. I was going to use it for Gears 5, but I got a review copy for it. So, yeah, I've never actually used it. Like, the games that I want to buy, I get, or, you know, I try to get a review code for, and everything else is just like one of those things. Hey, we're 4 away from 100 likes. If you guys would be so kind as to get me to 100 likes, I would appreciate it. Rich says, Crap, do you think Microsoft can make games like Detroit Become Human and God of War with their Game Pass model? No, I think that it's probably not possible. I don't think Microsoft cares about doing like big single-player games like that, like big budget single-player games. I honestly just don't really think they do. Matthew says, is World War Z on Game Pass? I believe it is. But I already own that game. Have I seen Joker? No, I haven't seen Joker yet, but I've heard really good things. I have to say, real quick, let me give a commentary on this. I'm kind of disappointed in the media for the way that they've handled this. Okay? Like, I don't understand their handling of this movie. It's a fake movie, and sure, it's violent, but aren't John Wick, isn't that violent? Like, Rambo, isn't that, like, I don't understand why this movie in particular is getting sort of this paranoia effect. But I am going to look forward to seeing it for sure. All Xbox Studios multiplayers are one and done these days. I've mentioned this, Wrath, okay? So people go, oh, all Sony does is one and dones. You know, you play them and you're done. And I said, you know what's funny? I put something like 55 hours into God of War. And I only put, I think, let me think. Well, with Gears of War 5, I've put less than 20 hours in that. So I don't plan on going back to Gears 5 unless I can finish that last level. And even then, that's not going to raise the time. So even though it's got multiplayer and all these other modes, that was a one and done for me. I probably put less hours in Halo 5 than I did in God of War. So I played Red Dead Redemption 2. I know that's not exclusive or anything. I played Red Dead Redemption 2 for 75 hours. Okay? That's more than I put into Gears, Halo, any of those games, to be honest with you guys. So, yeah, so again, people that go, oh, it's just one and done. Not everybody plays Gears or Halo or Forza for multiplayer purposes. So, those games are very much one and done as well for a lot of people. So you got to keep that in mind, just kind of going forward as well. Everybody's kind of taste is different. AJ Felton, he says, what's up, man? It's been a while. It has been a while, man. Hey, what's up? Please hit the like button, my friend. The new name for Xbox Nation should be Console Nation, or, just Gaming Nation, something like that. Do I think Sony will go down the Game Pass road? It looks like, Rico, they are doing that. They want to do PS Now. I think that, unfortunately, we're about to see the subscription wars, okay? Like, maybe I'm afraid with how this is going to turn out, because I don't want to see everything laden with microtransactions and the quality suffer, to be honest with you. But if they can get it to work, like, here's the problem. These companies like Microsoft and like in particular, they have this pretend 2 billion gamers in mind, right? And they think that all these gamers are going to subscribe to their services, and it's just not going to happen. Okay, like people that play phone games, like there's billions of phone games out there, and then people are surprised that it makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year or billions of dollars a year. It makes sense because there's so many different things out there. When it comes to like console gaming on a phone, though, I just don't see a big market there for people to pay $10 or $15 a month to stream a game on your phone, right? Like, we're getting these new features like play in 4K, play in 8K, 120 frames. And people would rather pay $15 a month to play on a phone that's 5-inch screen. Like, I don't get that. And not only that, but these phones are expensive in and of themselves. They can run this stuff. You're talking about phones that are like $5, $6, $7, $8, $1,000. Like, that's an expensive purchase. So it's like you're not exactly taking the console out of the equation, in my opinion, to begin with, because that's a very expensive thing. M Strong says, "Crap, do you think the next Titanfall will be exclusive to Xbox?" You know what? They shelved Titanfall, man. I hate to say it, but they actually came out and said that they shelved Titanfall, and they're focusing on Apex Legends, right? So that's a little bit unfortunate in my opinion. If Microsoft were smart, I would maybe contact, I would have done this a year ago or 2 years ago. I would have contacted EA and made some kind of deal to get Titanfall 3 to be exclusive as like a launch title for the next Xbox. And I just feel like that game lost something when it went multi-plat, okay? And I know people look at me funny like, oh, because other people get to play the game. No, it just wasn't the same. Like, I spent a ton of time on Titanfall 1, and it just wasn't the same when it went to the multi-plat. Like, less people bought it on Xbox. Hardly anybody bought it on PlayStation 4. So it was like, to me, it was such a waste because I felt like that would have been such a great franchise for Microsoft to have. Like, that was like, I think that's rated an 88 on Metacritic. That's like higher than any other game. That's higher than Microsoft's first party stuff, except for Forza Horizon, right? Like, it just didn't make sense to me the way that kind of went about. So I do wish that they would make some kind of deal with it the way that they did Dead Rising 3, because if you notice, Microsoft funded that game and it ended up being really good, whereas Dead Rising 4 kind of sucked. I liked it, but it was not nearly as good as 3 in my opinion, or fleshed out. So yeah, for me personally, I would love to see them make some kind of deal with that. Rich says, "Hey Crap, you said Days Gone graphics look better than Gears 5. Were you just trolling or making fun of it? I want your honest opinion." Here's the thing, I think Gears 5 at certain points looks better, but there's certain times where you're playing Gears 5 and like the textures in the background and stuff like that look horrible. And that's because they went 60 frames on the X. So I think that maybe in some instances that game might even look better on the S or whatever, because it's running 30 frames for the campaign. But yeah, I think that Gears 5 is probably one of the best looking games this generation, but God of War is definitely up there as well. Let's see. Hey Crap, you said, oh okay, let me see. Did you play that Tom Clancy Breakpoint? If so, what's your thoughts? Because the game for me is broken, never should have launched. They should have waited. No, I didn't play that. I'm not really big into the Tom Clancy stuff. So yeah, I didn't get a chance to play that. I heard it was bad. It's a game as a service, you guys. Ubisoft is doing that. I believe they're the ones that own that, right? Yeah, they're the Tom Clancy people. But yeah, so they launch these games like that, or Rainbow Six, and I'm sure a year from now it'll have really good content. But right now, it just doesn't really have anything. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I hope that people that they're funding this stuff. Okay, so this is the thing that annoys me a little bit. Okay, we're funding into this type of lifestyle as gamers. We're the ones funneling the money into this, saying it's okay. Until we stand up and go, hey, we want complete games. Why is it that last generation, and I'm not saying that there were no broken games last generation, but why is it as gamers right now, most games we get are completely broken at launch or have some kind of issue? Like, what's the disparity there? And we're supporting this, like, I like Sea of Thieves. I'm guilty too. I like Sea of Thieves, but that game had no content at launch. There was literally nothing to do. It was an open sandbox where you hit skeletons and there's snakes on islands and they sent you on wild goose chases for treasure. Okay? The game itself, there was very little game to the game. All these games are like this, and we're supporting it. We're the ones that are doing this to ourselves. If you don't want streaming services, or if you want your console to be the focus or whatever, I think that's on us to kind of vote with our wallets. That's what I'm doing anyway. So yeah, that's on us. Hopefully we can that's what I wanted to say. Sorry for the little rant, but yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Y9 Power says, some people still don't get it where Microsoft has to build up the console before branching out with services. I brought this up and people said I was crazy. Why not have another generation or half a generation where you win your fans back with great exclusive content, right? Instead, they go off trying to get everybody to buy this or buy that, or you know what I mean? Like, to me, it just does not make any sense, and I hope that they kind of see the error in that and can fix things, because I just don't see that that's going to work out well for them long term. They really need to sort of get people back on board with the Xbox brand in the first place, and they've kind of done a bad job with it. Matthew says, oh, AJ Felton says Shenmue 3 looks better and better. Crap. I'm going to get it for sure. Matthew says, are you impressed with all the tech coming together for Flight Sim 2020? No, listen, Flight Sim to me is like this teaching tool. I don't understand why people are trying to hype it. If you're looking forward to it, then more power to you. But I personally just like, I could hop in GTA 5 and fly around that. And there's no different. Like, I want a game, something to actually play with a story. And you know what I mean? Like, yeah. M. Strong says, crap, do you think the game from the initiative will be a game changer or just the usual? I think it's going to be a game changer. So, you know. Rumple Foreskin says, crap, I don't have any problem talking about this. He says, you work so hard to have such a following. I've watched your sub count plummet. How do you feel about that? Sucks, bro. Well, listen, okay. Here's the thing. People tell me, crap, you only started doing this to get subs and views, right? And I'm like, well, if you look at the facts, I lost both of those things by being honest. It sucks, but what can I do about it? You know what I mean? Like, should I lie and pretend that Xbox is great and that I love everything that they're doing just to get sub to keep people happy or whatever? Now, it sucks because, you know, I think that, you know, I'm one of the more entertaining YouTubers. So, yeah, that does suck, and I wish people would, you know, but again, people are very tied into these consoles, right? Like, they believe in them or whatever. They want to be pacified. I brought this up. Someone messaged me the other day on Xbox Live and said something like that. They said, I'm going to go and watch this person's content because they tell me about the good things that Xbox does, blah, blah, blah. And so I just responded. I'm like, so you want to be pacified and made to feel good about your purchase because you're starting to feel a little bit negatively about it due to the lack of games. And if there were positive things about Xbox, I would talk about them, right? But for me, it starts and stops with games at first, right? You got to have the exclusives there. You got to have the games to talk about before anything else. So the rest is kind of pointless. And, you know, people don't like that. You know, they don't like to be made to feel bad about their stuff. So, yeah, it sucks or whatever. I did, even if my YouTube stuff ends tomorrow, I did way more than I ever anticipated. My original goal was 1,000 subscribers, right? Things just kind of went one way, you know what I mean? And it's like, I understand I was kind of a refugee guy for Xbox fans and like this hope that Xbox fans had or whatever, and I do apologize to those that I'm not that hero that you guys wanted, but I feel like if I was disingenuous and pretended to like Xbox right now, that it would come across as being fake and stuff like that anyway, so I don't want to do that. So, yeah, like, people always are of the mind, they go, well, crap, you're just doing this for views, and I'm like, I'm getting less of those things, though, you know? So which is it? Am I doing it for views and subs, which I'm getting less of, or am I doing it because I'm, like, they have a hard time believing that someone is just this genuinely upset about the brand, okay? Like, I think people just have that, like, blame Microsoft, not me. Okay, like, so that's the way I think about it. Again, I had to essentially almost start over. Is it even worth it? I don't know. YouTube seems to every month and a half, 2 months, screw up everything anyway. Like, nobody gets notifications. I get messages all the time. Oh, I didn't get a notification. You should cover this crap. I'm like, I did. Oh, well, I didn't get a notification. Did you hit the bell? Yeah. Okay, well, so, you know, it kind of is what it is. It's like smaller content creators, and yes, I'm a smaller content creator. Just don't really, you know, I don't get it, you know? Like, I can check how many people get notifications of my videos. It's 1%. Okay, you can check the analytics. 1% of the people that subscribe to me get a notification when a video goes live. That's, to me, why don't people, and I see people complaining about it. I'm not going to make a video about it, but why don't, you know, if you got 50-some thousand subscribers, if you do a video, why doesn't 50,000 some people get a notification that you did a video? Okay, I'm not saying that you should get 50,000 views on every video. I'm just saying give people the notification so that they can watch it if they want to. Like, that to me would be the smart thing to do. But I get it. It kind of is what it is. You know, I'm going to keep doing my thing for the foreseeable future, but you know, it is a little bit frustrating, and it does suck, you know, that so many people that I guess were like my fans or whatever, you know, kind of whatever. So, M Strong says, I didn't even get one for the podcast yesterday. Yeah, you know what? Like, it's just one of those things that happens, man. Last Wednesday, YouTube updated or something, and something went wrong. And it usually takes a week or so for this stuff to, sort of straighten out. I'm hoping it straightens out. If it doesn't, then I'm not sure what exactly to do. Am I pledging my allegiance to PlayStation Now? Are you saying PlayStation Now the service, or PlayStation as a whole? Listen, I want to play great games. If Microsoft wants to come out and launch with, great games and they talk about games coming in the future, I would love that, man. I'm not saying I hate Xbox or I'll never play Xbox. I'm just not excited for what we've had recently from that company. So maybe that'll change. Maybe they can do something different. But I'm just saying, for right now, I'm not impressed with what they're doing. They refuse to talk about anything good. I hope that they get out there and they talk about good stuff, because, as fans, we deserve great games. We've had such a crummy generation that they should be going out there kissing our ass. The ones that still support Xbox, the few that are left, they should be out there kissing our ass right now, trying to get us to thank us for supporting them. It's such a relentless bad generation. This is all I'm saying, right? Like, it's been a piss poor generation, and they can't even give us the dignity to kind of tell us, hey, we've got this type of game coming, or they're working on this type of game, or tell us what type of game somebody's working on, right? The initiative's working on a brand new open world multi or single player game with this, and it's going to be hacking slash, or you know what I mean, like RPG. I would just love to know the type of games that we're working on. It just doesn't really it doesn't really seem to make sense to me. So yeah, that is a little bit unfortunate, but hopefully next generation they can really bring it. That's what I'm hoping for. What's my opinion on the new Strand genre Kojima has created? It sounds awesome. Listen, again, that's a thing that's interesting. I hopefully get my copy for free, but I'm listening forward to it. You know what I mean? Relic says, changing your mind based on what you expect as a consumer is not flip-flopping. Yeah, I mean, that is what it is. Nine Live says PlayStation should just go third-party crap. I don't think so. Y9 Power says, we are the investors. I like the fact that you give appropriate criticism so we don't spend our money in vain. Fanatics don't understand this, especially with exclusives. I feel like exclusives are the most important thing. That's why Nintendo's doing so well. But I get it. Some people don't want to be just reminded all the time that their thing sucks. Like if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, I'm sure you don't want to be reminded that, the Dolphins suck nonstop. So yeah, it's just one of those things. I hope that everybody kind of gets what I want everybody to be happy with what they got, with their gaming and things like that. So hopefully that's something that can happen. So I'm hoping that that's the case at any rate. So I know you guys might actually think that too. Strand genre is a load of crap, says Slick. I don't know. You're throwing tantrums because they're not doing what you want, says Slick. I don't know if I'm throwing tantrum. I'm just talking and giving my opinion. I'm not like really attacking anyone or saying anything bad. I'm just giving my opinion on, as someone who spent a lot of money this generation, I'm giving my opinion as I'm not happy. I don't really consider that throwing a tantrum, but as a consumer, I think I do have the right to be unhappy and to express myself as being so. So let's see. Mick16 says, so according to you, Microsoft is supposed to show all their cards and basically removing any hype for future events like XO19 and E3 2020. Listen, they haven't had any kind of hype at the last 5 E3s, man. And they're not going to announce anything at XO. That's one of my main gripes about Xbox. Like, they'll hype up XO and they're not going to make any new game announcements, guys. They're just not going to do it. They're going to announce some kind of indie stuff or something going in Game Preview and Game Pass stuff for PC and talk about streaming. That's what they do. Like, that's my main problem. Like, I don't really care about their games on PC or streaming, but you got to have the content to warrant that stuff, and they don't really have that, which is really unfortunate. So hopefully they can get that straightened out. Which system has the best racing game? That's Forza. that's Forza all the way. Yeah, something like that, Naughty Dog. I don't really keep an eye on it, but yes, something like that. I don't know exactly what, because my YouTube is stuck on 58,900, and it's been like that for 4 weeks, I think. So I don't really know exactly. I don't really care. Like I said, I know that I was at 60,000 at one point. So yeah, over 1,000. But it is what it is. It's like, I'm not going to get up here and lie to people and be like, Xbox is the best box. I love Phil Spencer. We don't need any AAA exclusives over the next 14 months because we're good with Flight Simulator and Battletoads. I'm not going to be that guy because it's bullshit, and I don't believe that. That's just the truth. I'm not going to hype up those games because they look bad. They're not games that most of the people want to play. People want to play. Listen, you think things are bad right now with Xbox selling 30,000 a month and no games coming? Wait until stuff like Death Stranding gets Game of the Year, or The Last of Us 2 comes out in February. Xbox fans are going to feel it, and Xbox fans are going to have a hard time kind of explaining away how great Xbox is when, another PlayStation 4 exclusive wins Game of the Year again and gets like a 98 Metacritic. People are going to, Xbox fans are going to have meltdowns. I'm glad that I'm not that guy anymore where I have to damage control that stuff, because leave that to other people to talk about how it doesn't matter because, such and such has a team that's working on a great game and that we won't see for 4 years, and wait till that game comes out, right? See you in 2024. I cannot build up that stuff. I honestly think that Microsoft is going to be completely reliant on Forza, Halo, and Gears for the next 3 to 4 years. They might have some smaller stuff out there, but the initiative, I don't think we'll see anything from them till 2024. Obsidian, 2024, 2025, they're just now starting a new game, and a new IP is going to take, a new RPG, a great one should take 4 to 5 years to make. So, again, 2024, 2025, what, you're going to be excited about another State of Decay, a little indie from Double Fine, another Wasteland game, a Bard's Tale 5, I just think that, the studios that they have that could make a AAA game are few and far between, if it's not Halo, Gears, or Forza. And those games are far away. We might get Fable in 2021 or 2022. But again, anything new I think is extremely far out, like mid-gen, next-gen. And that's going to be a real problem because Microsoft doesn't like to announce stuff too early. And who wants to buy a new console if you don't have anything to play on it? That's going to be a problem in my opinion. So that's just what I'm thinking anyway. Let me see. Do you believe Microsoft changed in the direction with Xbox began with the introduction of Kinect in 2010? I feel like what Microsoft did was they put all their eggs in that Kinect casual basket, and they're putting their eggs in the streaming casual basket. They think people on phones want to play Gears on a phone or play Halo on a phone. And the truth of the matter is they want to play, Candy Crush on a phone or something like that. So that's the way I look at it. So hold on. 9Live says, just wait till E3 2020, bro. Listen, I've been waiting for E3 for 5 years, man. Do you really think that waiting for another E3 is going to be it? What do you think Phil is going to show that is going to be within a year of release that's going to satisfy what people want in terms of AAA exclusives or new IP? I just don't see it. I hope they do. Top Dog says it's 2019. Flight sims without VR mode is pointless. Well, yeah, this is true. Relic says E3 was Microsoft's opportunity to excite us for Xbox. I agree 100%. M. Strong says they made those damn Battletoads look crazy. Literally a waste of time. Yeah, Battletoads looks really bad. Hey, everybody hit the like button. Maybe we can get up to 150. I would really appreciate that as well. Listen, Battletoads would have been cool. People were asking for Battletoads. That's the funny thing, right? We all were kind of like Battletoads. And we saw it in Killer Instinct. It looked really cool. And now we got like this weird Battletoads that looks like this cartoony type thing. So I don't know what they're doing, right? Like, we asked for a Killer Instinct 2, we didn't get it. We asked for a Sunset Overdrive 2, we didn't get it. We asked for a Rise 2, we didn't get it. We asked for a Quantum Break 2, we didn't get it. There's literally 0 games that we asked for that we actually got, and that's a bit of a problem in my opinion. So at the end of the day, kind of is what it is. It's disappointing but maybe Microsoft can make it up to us next gen. Hopefully, anyway. I would hope that that's the plan, is that they have like these tremendous amount of exclusives for us to play and announce and stuff like that. 9 Live says new gen Phil will unleash everything. Well, we'll see. Rich says, crap, have you got any info on next gen console specs? I've got nothing, right? The only thing that I've heard was that the PlayStation dev kits were more mature than the Xbox ones. So take that for what it's worth. They're both being very, very secretive about this stuff. So, yeah, I have nothing right at this. I don't even have a name for anything yet. Xbox One says, if ponies get excited for a walk-in piss simulator, why can't I get excited for a flight simulator? Well, we don't know what Death Stranding is. I think there's more to it than just walking. Like, there's, like, other people involved and, you know, stuff like that. I think, like, a flying thing is, you know, that's just, I personally don't. Like, if you want to play it, I think that's fine. Game Pass is fine for that. Like, I think Flight Sim is more something for PC crowd. But if Xbox people want to be flying around, more power to them. That it just isn't for. I don't understand it. It seems like there's literally no game there to be had. Like, I don't get it. So yeah. People seem to think Xbox will compete with Sony next gen because of streaming. Sorry, but no. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a walking sim, it's a hiking sim. Yeah, we don't know, but you don't have to walk or hike. You can take a motorcycle, too. I think I've seen that in there as well. So, you know, we'll have to see how that kind of works out. Look, I'm getting Death Stranding. I'm hoping that, you know, that it's good. I'm hoping that we can get... it's kind of been a lackluster year in terms of, like, great games. So I'm hoping that we can get some good stuff, and that would be nice to see for a change, you know, from these companies. So, do you got to tell Xbot on your show he's got to stop with that Sony blueprint thing? He seems to have a real issue with realistic third person. Hey, listen, he likes his type of stuff that he likes, man. I don't get it. He's like, Battletoads, but then if you bring up God of War or something, he brings up that he can't jump. So, I don't know. He's a good guy. But, yeah, you know, like, that kind of stuff is funny to me. Like, how are you going to hype up Battletoads or Bleeding Edge, but you think Spider-Man or Last of Us 2 or God of War doesn't look good? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Which system has the best multiplayer? Any game? I think probably Xbox still. I don't know which game. I'm going to get Call of Duty for Xbox, though. So, yeah. Let me see. I was excited for the Battletoads to look like they did on Killer Instinct. Seeing that as 2019, agree 100%. Rich says, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. What if streaming got so big and Xbox got a lead over PlayStation? Do you think that's possible? Well, listen, how would we know, right? Because Microsoft doesn't even announce active users anymore. So how do we know? Like, who's going to stream? Are, you know, 100 million people going to just start paying that subscription to stream games on their phone? I mean, I guess anything's possible. I just don't see that as being a thing. Like, look, you've been able to buy a 3DS or a Vita for years, and those things are dying out because people don't want to play more complex games. They want to play, you know, Candy Crushes and stuff like that. So I think that's the big difference between kind of what's going on here. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit. I'm going to answer a couple more, and then I got to get the heck out of here. Xbox One says, it's not just flying point A to point B. There are expansions for the OG Flight Simulator for dogfighting and stunts. I love Flight Sim since Pilot Wings on Super Nintendo. Hey, man, more power to you. I just don't think that that's a big deal or whatever, you know. I don't think most people are super interested in that. So, One Typical says, PlayStation at least managed to change for fans begging for crossplay for the players. Listen, Sony ticked off all the boxes where anybody could complain about them next gen. They're going to have crossplay. They're going to have backwards compatibility. They're going to have streaming. They're going to have all the same stuff that Microsoft has. Probably a powerful box just on par. You know, party chat, more people on party. Like, they've got everything that Microsoft does, but then they have even better games, in my opinion. So I think that's what's going to really, really help them out a lot. Best Racer Xbox, best multiplayer Xbox. Just got a few more questions. Which system has the best launch lineup in 2013? Well, I got Xbox because they had the best launch lineup. But again, times change and things change. They really kind of went downhill after that. So anyway, you guys have all been extremely. Do I think Halo Infinite will come to PS5? I think Game Pass might come to PS5, and so Halo Infinite by proxy would. But we'll have to see how that plays out. I'm very interested to see what happens. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you guys want, hit the like button, share it out. I might come back tomorrow if I have time after work and do another one or whatever to see what's going on. Miss talking to you guys. I'll answer your questions later. If you want to become a member, please do. If you want to support the channel, please do. Thank you guys so much for rocking out with me. Each and every one of you have a great day. We'll catch you later.